What's going on, y'all? Today we got Scottie Pippen regrets not listening to Michael Jordan. Let's get into it. See what this
Just
is about.
last year, Scottie Pippen was making public criticisms against Michael Jordan. One would think he resented the idea of Michael as a counselor. But it turns out that isn't exactly the case. In fact, he regretted not listening to Michael's advice about Charles Barkley. The Chicago Bulls dynasty of the 90s came to an end in 1998. Michael decided to retire, and the Bulls traded Scottie. When this happened, the Houston Rockets swooped in quickly, securing Scottie and forming their own super team in the process.
The Bulls answer to John Stark's spectacular dunk last year.
That was nasty.
This team had three top players, Scottie, Charles, and Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. Now, one might be surprised how a team with this much star power ended up not being successful. Well, it's simple, really. All three of those players' careers were already on the decline. It's not that the players had absolutely no chance at all. What really drove the nail in the coffin was the deteriorating relationship between Scottie and Charles.
I probably should have listened to Michael a year ago when he said that Charles never will win a championship because he doesn't show any dedication.
I mean, no matter how talented the players are, you can't really expect a team to do well when there's no teamwork. Soon Scottie wanted out, and his reason was that Charles wasn't dedicated enough to winning. After a public argument with Charles, Scottie lamented about how he should have listened to MJ. Apparently, he had warned him that Charles would never win a championship because of his lack of dedication. Perhaps Scottie's opinion on MJ has changed, though, with him having taken shots at his airness prior to the release of his memoir, Unguarded.
Tell my story about my life, my career, my journey, but I also want them to take away that the Chicago Bulls were the greatest team.
Well, I'm sure that most of the people here have heard about Scottie and Charles's feud that has lasted over 2 decades. But what exactly was it about
What feud? I thought all I heard was about Charles and Michael, Scottie and Michael. I ain't hearing nothing about Scottie and Charles.
That made Scottie regret not listening to Michael's advice so much?
Saying?
Well, after the Rockets went 31-19 during the 1998-99 season and lost to the Los Angeles Lakers in the first round.
This is the three, rebound Blunt. But Pippen has Armstrong. Oh, baby. Major jam. Wow, fouls him home.
Scottie wanted to leave. Looking back, there was never really any alignment or unity between Scottie and the head coach Rudy Tomjanovich. Well, Charles was particularly displeased about that since, according to him, Scottie's 5-year, $67.5 million contract only happened because he took a massive pay cut. Well, if this is true, then it's understandable why Charles was so frustrated. But then again, Scottie didn't ask him to do that for him either.
And for you to trash the greatest player ever, in my opinion, no disrespect to Kobe.
The war of words between them began when Charles said that Scottie owed him an apology for quitting after just 1 season. Well, Scottie didn't take that well and said that he wouldn't give Charles an apology at gunpoint. Pippen believed that, if anything, he was the one who's owed an apology for coming to play with Sir Charles' sorry fat butt. Sheesh, things sure escalated quickly.
He owed me an apology for coming to play with his sorry fat butt. Charles never will win a championship because he doesn't show any dedication.
Although jokingly, Charles then proceeded to say that he always carried a gun with him, and if he got arrested for murder, then everyone would know that Scottie didn't apologize. Neither of the two was willing to back down, and things were never patched up between them. Well, at least they have one thing in common. They've both drifted away from MJ at this point.
In game 3, Jordan for 3. Got it.
You'd think that even if they hated each other's guts, they wouldn't be getting into public arguments anymore at this point. But no, it seems they just can't help but take a shot at each other. In fact, in 2021, Scottie took a trip down memory lane and talked about those events once again. When a reporter brought it up in an interview, Scottie said that he wished Charles had actually gone through with his threat. He mocked him, saying that he'd only ever gotten arrested for throwing some little white guys out of a window, and that he's never seen him in a fight with a black man without referees around. Pippen continued that he doesn't know anyone who Charles beat up and said that he never apologized to him, only telling him to get out of the team. Well, Charles took that about as well as you'd expect him to. He said that he didn't remember ever claiming that he was Billy Badass, but insisted that he could still beat Scottie. He declared that even if he wasn't the toughest person in the world,
Yo, I'll fuck with Charles because he keep it real. That's one thing about Charles Barkley, bro. he gonna keep it a buck. I ain't say I'm the toughest, you know. I ain't say I'm really badass. I'll beat you, you know. If I'm not saying I'm out. If
He could definitely beat up the 6-time champ. Scottie also went in on his other former colleagues like Phil Jackson and MJ.
I felt like the documentary only told a story that sort of glorified him as a player and not glorified us as a team.
He went on the Dan Patrick Show and accused Michael of being selfish for retiring. Not only that, he even said that the cameras in the Last Dance documentary were working for Michael Jordan. The 6-time champ went so far as to say that some of Phil's decisions were racially motivated. According to Pippen, when Phil designed to play for Tony Kukoc instead of him in Game 3 in the 1994 Eastern Conference semifinals, this was a racial move. I mean, this is a huge accusation about a coach that Michael refused to continue playing in the NBA without.
Him a whole lot easier. Left alone, he doesn't take the three. Michael, fade away.
If I'm Hornacek,
Well, all these digs didn't get past good old Charles, and he swooped in with his own 2 cents about Scottie's motivations for suddenly coming out with these bold statements. Barkley insisted that Scottie didn't care about relationships down the line. What's more, Sir Charles said that his only goal for the whole fiasco was to drive up the sales for his book, Unguarded. Well, Scottie isn't the only one whose relationship with MJ has soured. Believe it or not, Charles and Michael used to be best friends. I mean, both of them chilled together, golfed together, and even gambled together. This may come as a surprise. After all, Michael did tell Scottie that Charles wasn't dedicated enough to win. But despite everything, Charles does regret the end of his friendship with his airness. Well, everyone knows that Charles can be, at times, a bit too honest.
I think that Michael was upset about some of the things I said about the Bobcats, which, number one, they were true. I can't.
What happened was that Michael was offended about something Charles had said to him, and they hadn't talked for over a decade since then. He said that he loves him like a brother, but they still haven't made amends. And Charles has admitted that he's got no intention of changing his straight shooting ways.
But I always love him like a brother, but I'm gonna do my job, first and foremost.
On the other hand, Scottie's relationship with MJ went a little differently. I mean, the documentary about them might have been named The Last Dance by ESPN, but it was definitely more of the last straw for Scottie. Scottie said that he's been treated as a prop for the series and that he and his former teammates weren't given any respect. Back in the day, Michael and Scottie used to be the perfect Batman and Robin duo, but it seems Scottie had it with constantly being under Michael's shadow. In his book, Unguarded, Pippen accused the Last Dance documentary of just focusing on tons of Michael's contributions to the Bulls dynasty. And of course, Scottie insisted that Michael held a lot of the blame. Well, this isn't exactly untrue. After all, Michael was granted the final cut to the project. And I guess the fact that Michael was given $10 million for his part in the documentary, while Scottie wasn't paid at all, only rubs salt in the wound. Well, it looks like Michael calling Scottie the greatest teammate he ever had wasn't enough.
No, but Mike the money maker, man. You can't be mad at that.
And he wrote his memoir. And now Pip has nothing but bad things to say about MJ. I guess at the core, what really messed up Michael and Scottie's relationship is that he didn't feel that the legend appreciated him and his team enough. Well, this is all for how Scottie wishes he had listened to Michael's advice about Charles and where his relationship with the two players is now.
That's the end of this one, y'all. I did not know about this, y'all. That's crazy. I know the information now. You know. What else? That's all I got to say. Yeah, I don't even know. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I'm tired. Mind is all discombobulated. But if you enjoyed this reaction, click on the last reaction. Michael Jordan was going off against the Cavaliers. My brothers and sisters, it's good for your health. And I'm out of here. Thank you for watching.